All right, let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're decoding what is basically a definitive blueprint for young leaders. We're going to be looking at one of the most incredible political ascents of our time. Arjun's phenomenal journey from literally washing cups at a village tea stall to sitting right there in the Prime Minister's office. And listen, this isn't just some inspiring biography to make you feel good. This is a step-by-step masterclass on how to build genuine, lasting political power from the ground up. So if you've got any interest at all in grassroots public service, you might want to grab a notepad because the framework we're about to unpack is entirely actionable. To really understand how this journey ends, we absolutely have to anchor our narrative at the very beginning. Picture this. It's a freezing cold morning in 1998 in Dahara, which is a small village in Bihar. 12-year-old Arjun is out there washing cups at his dad's tea stall. Suddenly, a local government official, the block development officer, walks in. Now, everyone in the stall immediately stands up out of reverence, except Arjun. His father scolds him, but Arjun, he doesn't even flinch. He just looks up and says, "Respect the chair, but a man is a man, isn't he?" The official is kind of amused by this, so he jokingly hands the kid a 10-rupee note, calling it his first bribe for when he eventually becomes prime minister. But Arjun totally refuses the money. He tells the official to keep it as a loan, and he actually promises to return it with interest one day through national service. That childhood moment of just unshakable conviction, that set the stage for literally everything that followed.
So, to see exactly how he actually fulfilled that massive promise, we're going to trace his playbook level by level. We'll hit Section 1, the first rule of politics. Section 2, mastering grassroots ground reality. Section 3, data-driven public service. Section 4, leading through national crisis. And we'll wrap it all up with Section 5, the Prime Minister's blueprint. Let's get right into it.
Starting off with Section 1, the first rule of politics, solving everyday problems. You see, long before he was dealing with giant national policies, Arjun had to figure out what actually moves people, and his school days provided the perfect testing ground. While traditional campaigning is all about relying on massive funding, giant posters, and loud rhetoric, Arjun had absolutely zero money. So instead, he just spent his lunch breaks listening to people. He found out the school's water tank was completely broken and that the girls didn't even have a common room. He ran his entire campaign on those two highly specific issues, won the 11th grade union election, and by basically fighting with the principal every day, he actually delivered on both promises within 3 months. This established his very first fundamental rule: do not chase the big chair. If you solve the small, everyday problems, the big chair will eventually come to you. For any young leader starting out, this is step 1 of the playbook.
Now, I want you to keep that rule in mind, because look at this timeline. At age 26, he becomes the village mukhia, or head. Fast forward to 31, he's a state MLA. At 35, he's a member of parliament in the Lok Sabha, and by 42, he is the Prime Minister of India. Going from a village head to Prime Minister in just 16 years is practically unheard of. It naturally begs the question, how on earth does someone scale those hyperlocal, grassroots tactics so effectively onto a national stage?
Which brings us right to Section 2, mastering grassroots ground reality, action over academics.
So before that incredibly rapid ascent really began, Arjun had actually earned a PhD from JNU on the failure of the Panchayati Raj, which is India's local governance system. But here's the reality check. A fancy PhD doesn't automatically buy you an ounce of respect in a farming village. When he returned home at 26, his political opponents literally laughed him off. They sneered, "College kid, what does he know about farming?" Now, Arjun didn't argue with them. He didn't wave his degrees in their faces. Instead, he answered by signing up for the Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme, MRNGEGA, and he worked for 6 solid months as a manual laborer with a shovel. He literally got his hands dirty. He sweat alongside the exact same people he wanted to represent. Choosing action over academics like that earned him the village's absolute, unwavering trust, and he easily won that Mukhya election.
And once he was in power as the village head, he didn't mess around. He executed 3 methodical masterstrokes. Step 1, he secured tap water for every single home in the village. Step 2, he launched a dedicated college bus service for village girls, which entirely removed the transportation barrier to their higher education. And Step 3, which is brilliant, he brought extreme transparency by publishing the entire Panchayat budget on a massive public WhatsApp group. Every single rupee was accounted for right out in the open. Within 5 years, Dahara was nationally recognized as a model Panchayat. For any aspiring leader watching this, take notes. This is exactly how you turn localized trust into an undeniable track record.
Moving right along to Section 3, data-driven public service, using facts as a weapon.
By the time he was 31, the political establishment told him he was way too young for a party ticket. So, what does he do? He runs as an independent, campaigns door-to-door on a bicycle, and actually wins, becoming the youngest MLA in the entire state assembly. And during his very first speech in that assembly, he didn't give some fiery, dramatic monologue. He just stood up and calmly read out one single number, 127. That was the hard, undeniable attendance data of 127 schools in his constituency. He exposed the exact, granular gaps in the education system with surgical precision. It completely shook the government. He proved to everyone in that room that precise, cold, hard information is vastly more powerful than loud opinions.
And that exact mentality carried over into his everyday politics. You see, while the old guard was busy shouting over each other on TV debates and driving around in these insulated VIP convoys, Arjun was up late reading every single bill in Parliament. When he became Rural Development Minister, he actually banned official cars for field visits. He forced his officers to ride bikes so they would physically feel the potholes they were supposed to be fixing. Later, as Education Minister, he didn't just pass the new education policy on paper. He implemented 60% of it rapidly by creating this amazing UPI-style school monitoring app. It allowed parents to track teacher attendance directly on their smartphones. The media started calling him the Fact Walla MP. He completely cut through the usual political noise by making performance strictly measurable.
All right, Section 4, Leading Through National Crisis, Accountability over Excuses.
Fast forward to 2026, and India faces a catastrophic national flood where 7 states essentially sank underwater. The government was facing massive, justifiable public anger. Arjun was appointed to head the relief task force, and he did not manage this crisis from some air-conditioned war room in the capital. He deployed a literal military-style crisis protocol. He personally slept on relief boats for 15 days just to oversee the rescue operations firsthand. When roads were completely washed away, he executed critical medicine drops using drones. And incredibly, he partnered with engineering students from IIT to build a flood prediction AI from scratch in just 3 days, which helped them anticipate the next disaster zones. It was this wild combination of extreme ground presence and super rapid technology adoption.
But I think his most defining moment came after the water finally receded. When he presented his post-flood report to Parliament, he didn't point fingers. He didn't blame previous governments. He didn't blame the weather. He just stood there and simply stated, "The mistake was mine. It won't happen again." This radical, no-excuses accountability completely shocked and silenced the opposition. In a system that is so used to endless blame games, stepping up and taking absolute responsibility cemented his image overnight. From that moment on, he was nationally recognized as the crisis PM.
And that leads us perfectly into our final section, Section 5, the Prime Minister's Blueprint and the Ultimate Compromise.
Okay, the year is 2029. The Lok Sabha elections are looming, and the veteran Prime Minister is retiring. Now, while the media is out there mocking the idea of a tea seller's son dreaming of the highest office, inside the party itself, a massive power struggle is unfolding. The 65-year-old party president secured 40% of the internal leadership vote, the 58-year-old home minister held 35%, and 42-year-old Arjun was actually trailing in third with 25%. Nobody had a clear majority. This resulted in an incredibly tense, 3-day absolute deadlock behind closed doors, bringing the entire party to a complete standstill.
Finally, the deadlock breaks with the ultimate compromise. The veteran home minister stands up, looks around the room, and totally concedes his own ambition. He just says, "The country needs youth," and officially proposes Arjun for the top job. The coalition instantly rallies behind him. And on May 17, 2029, at Rashtrapati Bhavan, the 42-year-old son of a village tea seller officially takes the oath as the Prime Minister of India. But wait, the story absolutely does not end with the oath. Remember that 10-rupee note from 1998? You're gonna love this. Arjun's very first act as Prime Minister was to travel all the way back to the district of Siwan. He tracked down that exact same BDO official, who was now long retired. Arjun walked up and handed him exactly 100 rupees. It was the original 10-rupee bribe he had refused, plus 28 years of interest, repaid exactly as promised for national service. He brought his entire journey completely full circle, proving to everyone that his childhood conviction wasn't just big talk.
Right before heading back to the capital, Arjun had a signboard placed at his father's old tea stall in Darhara, and it reads, "Free training to become Prime Minister available here. Condition, you have to wash the cups yourself." It is such a brilliant, provocative challenge to any young aspiring leader watching this right now. It asks the most fundamental question:
Are you truly ready to do the hard, completely unglamorous ground-level work of public service? Because as this entire explainer has shown us, you absolutely cannot skip the struggle if you want to hold the chair. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive. Now take this playbook and go solve a real problem in your own community today.